Yo, what is going on, everyone? I appreciate y'all for tuning in this Friday. I hope everybody had a dope holiday and it was all peaceful. Everybody got what they wanted. The people they care about, give a damn about, had actual smiles on their faces. So, hey, I hope everybody had a safe holiday. We are going to dive back into the live. And my bad. I thought about doing the live on Christmas Day, but I just was like, I was getting over a cold. So I was just like, I'll drop a video. But now we're back at it with a live stream, and we are going to talk a little bit about the $9 million, 9 million. Austin Powers was that? I can't remember. The $9 million surplus that may or may not exist. We don't know. But before we get started, I want to give a big round of applause to everybody who is already tuned in, everybody who subscribed, watches, support. Big shout out to the channel members. Salute to you all. And hey, real quick, I'm going to give a round of applause for everybody who left comments before the show even started, almost 30 minutes before. Hey, shout out to y'all. A double round of applause to you all as well. We about to jump in and get into it. Now, before we get in, disclaimer, licensed attorney, not legal, not financial advice. If you get some value out of this content, like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about it. We've seen numerous videos on this channel and other channels where Tiffany Henyard makes the assertion that the Thornton Township has a $9 million surplus. I don't know. I don't know. I think it just doesn't look good. But hey, shout out to you all because you all shot me this, a channel member, a member of the family, the intellectual savages out there shot me this. And I thought, after reading this, there's no way in hell that the Thornton Township could have a $9 million surplus. Now, I'm not saying they don't have it. I'm just saying that with the information that we got, it is highly, highly, very, very unlikely that that's the case. And I'm going to just be honest. If you got a $9 million surplus and things are good, I'm going to make sure all of my shit is in order so you all can know how amazing of a job I did by actually bringing in revenue and not overspending. So we're going to dive in and talk about it. This is one of those videos, y'all, where I actually did some notes because I'm an attorney. I'm not a certified financial expert. I don't have credentials as a CPA, or I'm not licensed to sell securities, and I don't want to do any of this stuff. But I had to dive in because we got to get the definition of some things before we can dive in and talk about it. Just taking a quick look through the comments, everyone. I see everybody was chiming in. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hey, happy holidays to you too, Maddie. I see everybody in the chat. You already hit it, Paul. Shout out to you, a co-counsel on this job. Without an audit, I don't believe any dollar amount that Tiffany claims. That's 100%. That's 100%. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to you. I try. I'm appreciative of y'all for tuning in. So let's go ahead. What's going on? No apologies, just me. I appreciate you tuning in, everybody coming up in the chat. MDJ901. I'm completely convinced that she doesn't know the definition of surplus. Fair point. Okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair comment. The article that we're going to talk about is an article from the Lansing Journal where it states that an audit firm won't endorse Thornton Township financial report. This was from December 13th of this year, recently, a few weeks ago, not too late. But first, before we dive into it, we got to look at, hey, it's an audit firm, because anytime a company is hired to do anything with regard to the township or the village of Dalton, I don't know about you all, but I give it increased scrutiny because it may be the Sprint family and friends plan. She may be getting somebody who just started a company and it could be some funny business going on. So let's go ahead and pull up some of the notes so we can get all our definitions intact, so we can know exactly what an audit firm is, a little bit about their credentials. We're going to check out the audit firm who was tasked to sign off on these reports, and then we're going to read why the hell they said, no bueno, we aren't going to do anything. No opinion, no opinion. Let's go ahead and pull it up. Wow, we ain't gonna do that. Let's do that one right here. Okay, an audit firm becomes accredited by undergoing a rigorous evaluation process by a recognized accreditation body where they must demonstrate compliance with established standards and requirements related to their audit practices, auditor qualifications, quality control procedures, and overall competence, usually involving an on-site audit by an accreditation body to assess their systems and procedures against specific criteria. This process ensures that the firm meets the highest level of quality when conducting audits for clients. So now that we know all of this rigorous stuff that an audit firm has to go through, you can't just hire anybody to do it. This actually makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about an audit firm because it's not like the company who you want to hire to cut down trees in the township or in the village. Like anybody can file articles of incorporation, start an LLC, buy a couple of chainsaws, have a truck, and get to work and pray to God that you don't cut a tree that falls on someone's house. But when you have an LLC, most of the time it's filed as a professional LLC. When you actually have someone to answer to, you create a fiduciary duty. It gives me a little bit more comfort in, okay, and the fact that they didn't approve anything the township did, it gives me a little less cause to pause that, hey, they might be on the right track here. Okay, now, key points about audit firm accreditation. One, the accreditation bodies, organizations, let me move this over so it's consistent on the screen here. All right, accreditation bodies, organizations like the National Accreditation Board or the United Kingdom Accreditation Service, they often act as third-party evaluators. The standards used, accredited bodies typically reference international standards like, I'm not even going to go into citation, which outline requirements for competence and consistency of audit bodies. Assessment process. This involves a detailed review of the audit firm's quality management system, auditor qualifications, sample audit reports, and may include on-site visits to observe their audit practices. And maintaining accreditation, accredited firms must also undergo regular surveillance audits to maintain their accreditation status and demonstrate ongoing compliance with standards. Why is accreditation important? Credibility, number one. If you can't meet the accreditation standards, nobody gonna think you ain't shit in your professional field. That's just like if an attorney, you Google his name and this dude got 55 complaints with the Bar Association, you're gonna be like, nah, bruh, I'm not hiring this guy. So credibility, it indicates that the audit firm meets the high standards and is capable of conducting reliable and objective audits. That's key because a lot of times there's gamesmanship with contracts being passed out to friends and buddies and partners and people you know to try to finesse or game the system. Client confidence, companies seeking audits often prefer to work with accredited firms to ensure the quality and validity of the audit results and market access. Certain industries or regulatory bodies may require audits to be performed from accredited firms to meet compliance requirements. Okay, so that in a nutshell is, I think we all understood, this is why you want to get an organization that's accredited. So an auditing firm who doesn't meet the requirements, they aren't even in a position to take on the task to evaluate a municipality's financial records. Like, I mean, in theory, could a person hire some BS firm that doesn't have accreditation? Yes, but most times having an accredited firm to sign off on the financials is a requirement of the state or the overarching governmental entity. So it's really hard to find an auditing firm that's going to have some BS going on with regard to an audit that's this important. Because if they finesse auditing records for a municipality on this side, once it comes into the light, their business is going to be defunct. Nobody who's going to want to go to a law firm who consistently is terrible, unless you're just trying to do something terrible as well. But it just doesn't make any sense. So just in reading the requirements that a firm has to go through to evaluate municipality records, everything is looking good. It looks like, okay, so far, so good. The firm didn't sign off on it, so there was clearly some funny business going on. What's good? What's good? What's good? Just trying to check out through the comments. He attempted to explain the requirements. A CPA attempted to explain the requirements, and she cut him off. Hey, she gonna cut the mic off. That's kind of her go-to move. Nah, I don't. I think it's cap. She's asserting the 9 million, but I don't know. As soon as I heard her say 9 million, I was like, bruh. Nah, I just don't believe it. But we're gonna get into it. Let's go ahead and get through these notes before we get in depth into the article. Okay. Now we got to talk a little bit about the financial reports. And I know a lot of y'all already in the know. Y'all smart as hell. Y'all be pointing me in the right direction. Y'all be pointing me in the right direction because I don't do super dives on the research side of the game. It's just not like that because your boy got a 9 to 5. But a lot of y'all on here in our conversations have talked about the CFER report that municipalities are required to file. So let's go ahead and jump back into this because we want to get all the nuances out of the way. All right. A municipal financial report is a collection of documents that provide information about a municipality's financial activities, balance, and performances. You have the budget report, a yearly report that outlines the city's financial data, the municipal annual report, a report that details the municipality's services, operations, events, and strategic progress, audited financial report, a report prepared by an independent party. Hold on. I keep forgetting to move this over because it's a little weird. A report prepared by an independent party that provides information about the issuer's financial condition and performance. Then you have the CFER. I've never seen it written with the A in front, but the annual comprehensive financial report, a set of financial statements that comply with the Governmental Accounting Standards Board accounting requirements. Municipal financial reports help ensure accountability and transparency and assist municipalities with long-term planning. They also help municipalities report to taxpayers on the services they provide with the resources available. Now, the auditing firm that was used, and they said, we're not signing off on this shit, is John Kasperek Company. Now, let's go ahead. Let me get rid of this. Let's get that out of here. Stop sharing. Let's go ahead and pull up their website because we want to look at their website because now that we know all of the stuff that this auditing firm has to do just to be in business. Now, the next thing you want to look for to make sure it's just the auditing firm is objective is you want to look for an organization that's been around for a while. Not saying an auditing firm that was established in January could not be objective, but amidst all of the scrutiny, who really wants to use an auditing firm that is new to the game? You want to have someone with a track record of professionalism, experience, a track record of dealing with various municipalities in your geographical area. So let's go ahead and pull up the website so we can find a little bit about John Kasperek Company. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let me get this queued up. All right. So let's see. Make sure we got this on the screen. Okay. So the first thing I see as soon as I look at this page, they were founded in 1989. These dudes been around for a while. That's a good thing. An auditing firm, not all attorneys, but typically professionals, CPA, attorneys, medical doctors. It's very hard, not impossible, not impossible, because we talked about some attorneys who have some questionable practice techniques, but it's not impossible, but it's very difficult for a professional entity providing services to the public to stay in business for decade after decade after decade if they're finessing the game, if they're doing the wrong thing. Professional organizations, they want to protect themselves, and generally, not all the time, but they'll snatch a license quick if you're doing something crazy. but especially when it relates to finances. When it relates to finances, that fiduciary relationship, if something fishy is going on, is a strong likelihood that a company won't be around for 20, 30 years. That's just not the norm. Oh, let me go ahead and all right, let's zoom this in so we can see. John Kasperek Company Incorporated was founded in 1989 to serve the financial needs of Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana area. Led by accomplished governmental consulting expert, founder and managing partner John Kasperek Jr., CPA, they have a team of certified public accountants and professional staff that are dedicated to provide customized services to local units of government, nonprofit organizations, corporations, and individuals at an affordable rate. The firm's truly unique expertise is rooted in extensive experience through our municipal and educational auditing and consulting engagements. As a boutique company, JKC's attention to detail and hands-on services from all levels of the firm is well received by our client, and our team is highly motivated, dedicated to their continued services. We have a proven track record with impeccable results, evidenced by an impressive client list. The Illinois Office of the Auditor General recently announced JKC as a Level 3 Auditor of Governmental Audits, the highest certification. Okay, so one of the things we've always questioned, who is going to do what, who's going to do the audits, how are we going to know if it's somebody who's impartial, how are we going to know if there's no fishy business going on? From everything we know about the requirements that we talked about and looking at this firm, they appear to have their shit together. Like, I would be completely comfortable, just objective now, if I go into the back pages of Reddit and all these forums, there's probably people talking shit out there. But the fact that they have the highest accreditation from the state, it has some weight, it carries some favor. So far, so good. Let's take a look at their client list, okay? Let's take a look at their client list just to see what type of big wigs are they actually representing here. So we can get because Thornton Township is the biggest township in the actual state. So they aren't small change. It's not a small task. But let's take a look at the client list to see who they have on their client list. All right. Okay. So far, I'm going to tell you one thing I see that's absolutely great is a lot of government organizations. The city of Calumet City, the city of Blue Island, Calumet Township, American Legion Post 330, Thornton Township School Treasurer, Thornton Fractional Township School Treasurer, Thornton Township. So, they've been doing this for a long ass time. It looks like they've represented the village of Dalton and Thornton Township for a long time. This is not a new relationship that was formed. This is a long-standing relationship. So what we know is, based on that, they have clearly signed off on previous financials related to the governmental entities before. I think that's the case. Because unless y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but if they have not been signing off on the audits, I think that the media would have caught that up. This is the 17th audit that they refused to sign off on because their shit was just so jacked up. But that's not what we're hearing. So, established organization, experience with municipalities, have qualified professional, has the highest certification that an entity like this can hold in the state. All good stuff, all great stuff, all not giving a spectrum of shadiness by any potential politicians on any side, whether it's the township, whether it's the trustees, whether it's the supervisor, because that's always the beef. Like, yo, we need somebody to do an audit. Well, who's going to do the audit? I should pick. No, we should pick. And then everybody bitching and complaining, pardon my language, and then nothing gets done. But so far, this auditing company looks like they are on their P's and Q's. What's going on, Bernie? I appreciate you tuning in. Hey, shout out to everybody in the chat, too. We got a lot of people in here today. So I'm going to try to go through and some of the chats. And it's hard to catch up with the chats when there's so many people going on. But, hey, shout out to everybody in the chat for tuning in. Now let's go ahead and get to, hold on, I'm looking real quick. That's funny. Like, yeah, the person who sent it to me, like, come on, family, you're not even in the chat. I'm doing this video for you, but it's all good. They'll get around to it. So let's go ahead, pull up the article that's in the Lansing Journal. And they got like, if you go to the Lansing Journal website, they have a treasure trove of stuff related to all of this nonsense that is very informative, and generally it's objective. That's funny. Let's see. The police, YouTube. That's funny. Where the food boxes? Are we hungry out here? All right, so let's go in. Let's pull this up so we can get into why this auditing company said, hell nah, we can't sign off on this. Then we're going to use some of our context clues too, because that's how it is. You have direct evidence and circumstantial evidence. Direct evidence is like eyewitness or video surveillance that links you to the crime, or fingerprints, something that can be proven. Circumstantial evidence is, okay, we know you were in this location on or about this time because we were able to triangulate your location from cell towers associated with GPS coordinates, on your cell phone. Like, this circumstantial evidence, we have to make an inference, okay? So I'm not saying that the $9 million surplus that Tiffany Henyard is asserting in the Thornton Township doesn't exist. I'm just saying that we're going to use our abilities to evaluate evidence and come to a reasonable and rational conclusion. That's what we're going to do today. All right. So this is in the Lansing Journal. Y'all can go check out their website. Shout out to them. This is December 13th of 2024. Hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, I always got to zoom it in a little bit so y'all can see. I try to blame it on y'all. I try to zoom it in so y'all can see. I really zoom it in so I can see. All right. Calumet City on December 13th, 2024, the accounting firm hired to audit the Thornton Township financial report from the last fiscal year decided not to offer an opinion on whether its numbers added up. Okay, let's try to get through it, but occasionally I may pause for commentary. I know some of y'all get upset, but it's called an attorney reaction channel, so I gotta react to shit. Okay, but that very first sentence right there it's just inconsistent, because if I'm managing something and it's a surplus and the financials are intact, I'm gonna make sure. Normally, when your shit is intact, normally, not all the time, so sometimes people are disorganized. But normally, when your financials are intact, you have everything lined up and squared away. I even do that. Like last year, oh man, I filed my taxes at the last possible minute because I already knew I was going to have to cut Uncle Sam a check. Now I can't wait to January 1st. I'm like, man, give me all my W-2s. I'm about to file my tax. I'm going to be the first dude to file his taxes in the nation. So we all do that. All right. The accounting firm hired to audit the Thornton Township financial report from the last fiscal year decided not to offer an opinion on whether its numbers added up. Excuse me. The lack of opinion means the firm, John Kasperek Co., was unwilling to certify the township's report as accurate. So we can't say that this is accurate. There's a number out there. We don't know if it's 9 million or negative 10 million or what, but they're not willing to put their stamp on it. In a letter contained within the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, the CFER, for the fiscal year ending February 29th, 2024, the accounting firm indicated that it did not have enough documentation to confirm the numbers put forth by the township. Now, if they did not have the documentation, that means that they don't even have, they either don't have the documentation. Well, I take that as they didn't have the documentation. I don't, so far, and I haven't read this. I haven't read this. I don't take it as they are questioning the documentation or questioning the authenticity of the documentation. So those would be two separate things. But right now it just says we don't have enough to make a decision. All right. We do not express an opinion on the accompanying financial statements of governmental activities. Each major fund and the aggregate remaining fund information of the township, the letter states. We have not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to provide a basis for an audit opinion on the financial statements. Okay, they said they didn't have enough of the records to substantiate and render an opinion. This quote reads completely different to me. Let me read that again. We have not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to provide a basis for an audit opinion on the financial statements. Now, y'all let me know that to me reads very different than we didn't have the documentation. That's what I would write if someone came to me and said, yo, this is just my opinion, my take on it. If someone came to me and said, we looked at this stuff and not only did we not have enough, but the things we saw gave us cause to pause as to whether the numbers were overinflated, whether the documents were authentic or not. This is something that I would have wrote, or I would write, to say that we don't trust your shit, but it's not expressly saying we don't trust your shit. This is just me. I'm gonna read that one more time, and y'all let me know if it sounds. That's what it sounds like to me. We have not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Sufficient and appropriate. To me, that's giving some of that shit they looked at might be cat. That's my take. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Am I off on reading that? But I'm thinking that's how I'm reading it. That's my take on it. All right. We have not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to provide a basis for an audit opinion on the financial statements. Kasperek and Associates is a certified public accounting firm in Calumet City. It has audited the township financial reports at least since 2021. Okay, so they have audited reports in the past. And this is the first time in those 4 years that it has issued a non-opinion. See, I didn't even read this, but I figured that was the position when we went on their website and saw that they had the Village of Dalton and the Thornton Township as their clients. If it's a new client, I'm not going to fucking put a new client on my website, especially if I can't give an opinion as to the validity of their numbers. Why would I do that? I'm only putting clients that I have an established relationship with. So I figured that was the case, and we're 100% right. They've been auditing the township since 2021. This is the first time that they said, nah, bro, shit is looking janky. We don't have sufficient appropriate audit evidence to provide an opinion. One major factor in the firm's decision not to endorse the financial report is the pending federal investigation into Thornton Township under the leadership of Supervisor Tiffany Henyard. All right, we're going to talk about that. Let's go ahead and get through this. Under the leader of Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, its letter states that the accounting firm cannot offer an opinion without knowing what effect the results of the investigation may have on the financial statements. In addition, the key controls related to the board approvals for expenditures are not able to be relied upon, the letter states. Key controls refer to the oversight of expenditures by the Thornton Township Board of Trustees. Township trustee Chris Gonzalez has alleged at board meetings that Henyard puts forth requests for spending without sufficient documentation. In a management response to the firm's letter, Thornton Township said it disagrees with the firm's findings. Real quick, like real quick. Come on, really, Thornton Township? And hey, it's people in this live who reached out to me in emails, who live in the township, who live in the village of Dalton. But Thornton Township, how could you disagree with them not wanting to give an opinion when you all are a part of this? You all see the shit show that is happening. It would actually be incompetent of that firm to render an opinion in light of everything that's going on. But let's backtrack and talk about the federal investigation and the implications on the audit. This is actually easy, and it makes sense exactly why they made that statement. We don't know the impact of this federal investigation because the federal investigation, the subpoena, grand jury subpoena in the video that I put out the other day, we went over, they requested a shitload of financial records related to the operations of the township and spending. We don't know what records they have, what records they didn't have. More importantly, we don't know what records may be valid or invalid. The biggest part of any scheme, I say this all the time, people laugh, a scheme makes you a lot of money, but it costs a lot of money to try to cover up a scheme. The biggest part of any scheme is the cover up. It takes a lot of time. So can you imagine going February, fiscal year ends in February. So let's say going starting at March, going 6 months with spending, doing shit. We just going off of what's already out there, what we saw in the Lightfoot report related to her report. So it's fair to assume that, let's say 6 months of crazy ass spending, nobody tracking everything. They make trips that are purportedly work trips and charge the wrong card. They'll charge the township card when they should charge the village card. So it's fair to, after 6 months, do you think anybody actually did any paperwork that would actually be correct? I just don't see that being the case. So now when an audit is coming, what normally happens in these instances, and I've seen this, through hundreds of investigations into white collar crime, there's always fake pharmaceutical doctors, fake prescriptions that they're trying to write to justify the amount of opioids Suboxone that they prescribe, because it's all bullshit. So after all of that reckless spending, not maintaining the books, an audit firm is coming through now to do it. It's actually reasonable to believe that a lot of the documentations that the feds requested may not actually be legit. It could be fluffed up documentation. It could be invoices that are made. Most people make invoices on Microsoft Word. It's not that difficult. It could be bogus ass invoices that are made to satisfy spending that was done, and spending that probably was used for some shit that it shouldn't have been used for. So I think the firm is 100% right. That's funny. Who's cooking the books? Tiffany knows things haven't been on the up and up for years. That's why she challenged for an audit to go back to 5 to 10 years before her. Hey, that was smart. If y'all gonna see all my jacked up stuff, I want y'all to look at everybody. I want y'all to look at everybody jacked up stuff. Everybody been stealing long before me. So that's actually a fair point. Probably so, yeah. She only wants 2 credit cards audited. What's going on, Lisa? I see you joining there. Not agreeing is Tiffany's modus of operandi. That's funny. Let's see. All right, so let's go ahead and jump back into this so we can get through this letter. But it makes 100%. That's just common sense. I can't audit your books if I can't trust the validity of your financial records. It's impossible for me to do. And why the hell would I sign my name on something like that so you can stand up and say, hey, everything is good here. Then when it comes out that it's all BS, my credibility and my practice looks like some goofies out here. It makes no sense. And I think that's goofy of the township to say, we disagree with your position regarding not rendering an opinion on our records. Like, come on, y'all in all of these meetings, so y'all know the bullshit that's going on. All right, let's go ahead and pull this back up. Sorry, I need to get a swig of water real quick. This ain't even water. This is like aloe juice. That's probably why I'm thirsty. All right. We left off at, in the management's response to the firm's letter, the Thornton Township said it disagrees with the firm's finding. Not to throw shade at the Thornton Township, but it's patently obvious that their processes and procedures are just, to me, it looks like they're shooting from the hip. They don't even have, I have yet to see policies with regard to the spending of expenditures for government-related travel. So, I mean, they may be out there, but if they were, they should have been, or probably would have been brought to the forefront a long time ago. But I think it's just foolish for them to say it disagrees with the firm findings, where every other week they are part of this clown show. The township has consistently provided supporting document for all transactions, including bills whenever requested or inquired about by board members, the response states. Additionally, there has been no public acknowledgement or complaint by board members during these meetings that documentation was lacking or not provided in advance of their approval decisions. That letter is just not even giving consistent. What they just said. Additionally, there's been no public acknowledgement or complaint by board members during these meetings that documentation was lacking or not provided in advance of their approval decisions. I don't even know how they could have wrote that statement. I mean, I guess they wrote that statement because they're saying that. I'm assuming they're talking about documentation was there was no public acknowledgement or complaint by board members during these meetings that documentation was lacking or not provided in advance of the approval decisions. I don't know. I just don't see that. That seems inconsistent with everything that I've seen them bitching and complaining about at the board meetings, unless they're referring to. I don't know. I can't even see. I'm trying to think of a way to lawyer my way around it, but that shit don't make any sense. Gonzalez and trustee Carmen Carlisle have boycotted the last several meetings, voicing complaints about the lack of financial transparency, including about a homeowner's tax refund proposed by Henyard that we saw a great breakdown was done by Just Doing Nails, I believe it was, that we did on this channel. I believe is the name of the channel, but yeah, these are two conflicting statements. Paragraph at the top. No public acknowledgement or complaints by board members during these meetings that documentation was lacking or not provided in advance of their approval decisions. Next paragraph. Gonzalez and Carlisle have boycotted the last several meetings, voicing complaints about lack of financial transparency. That's literally exactly what you said didn't happen. Hey, we never got anything. That's literally exactly what you said didn't happen. Kasperek's letter advises the township to review and consider revising its financial management procedures. They have terrible procedures. You can't tell me what's wrong if you don't have written down what I can't do. Now, some things may be morally wrong. Some things may be financial faux pas. I get that. But how can you, I mean, a person in charge, an executive, no one knows the limits of their authority until they push the boundaries of it. And if you don't have anything to establish the boundaries, you're setting yourself up to get kicked in the ass. All right, we recommend the township evaluate the internal controls and create additional procedures in order to mitigate risk of future investigation, it states. The township response states that it has no plans, and this is just ridiculous. Their response states that it has no plan to change its process for providing financial documentation to trustees. Township management also indicated it will wait until the results of the federal investigation before evaluating its financial controls. I think the financial controls always been jacked up. They just didn't have anybody to do wild shit to show how jacked up it was. Without clarity on the nature or findings of the investigation, we currently lack specific details necessary to update our internal controls, it states. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. We are committed to preparing for any eventualities. We are committed to preparing for any eventualities once more information becomes available. We will then undertake a comprehensive review to strengthen controls and mitigate risks associated with potential future investigations. The Lansing Journal obtained a financial report through a Freedom of Information Act request with the township, which does not have the 2024 report posted on its website. A more complete final version of the report was found on the Cook County Treasurer's website as required by Illinois law. Okay, so one, the auditing firm did the absolute right thing. I don't give a damn how much they were getting paid. It's interesting. I wonder how much they get paid to conduct that audit. But I mean, they wasted money on lawsuits all the time. So I figure, I mean, the firm would have done their job had they had the capacity. But one, the firm did the right thing. I think that's correct. Second point is, I think it's a bad decision not to change your processes because you're waiting on the results of a federal investigation. I have had investigations that have lasted 3, 4, 5, 7 years. And I know y'all probably thinking, how the hell can a criminal investigation last 7 years when most statute of limitations is 5 years? Certain violations of the law, such as certain types of conspiracies, can extend the statute of limitations. Certain conduct can toll the statute of limitations. So the statute of limitation is 5 years. Let's say year 1, the crime is committed. Year 2, the feds pick up on it. Year 3, they start investigating. The fraud is ongoing. Year 4, certain conduct is done by the defendant that tolls the statute of limitation. That means that it stops right there and pauses, and the clock isn't running. So that means the Fed have all day because that statute of limitation was told for whatever reason. There's some unique ways with statute of limitations. You can add a wire fraud charge in, mail fraud, wire fraud, that gives you a little bit more flexibility with the statute of limitations. So I don't know. I think that's crazy. We realize that our processes may be jacked up, but we aren't going to do anything about it until the federal investigation tells us what was wrong. Y'all know what the hell is wrong, in my opinion, because y'all complain about it all the time. So just go ahead and change the processes now. If you're going to wait till the results of a federal investigation, I mean, one, they actually aren't going to get the results of a federal investigation. I've been doing this for over a decade. What's going to happen is the feds are investigating. If and when they decide to indict Tiffany Henyard, and I just can't see her pleading guilty to anything because she's so stubborn. But whether she pleads guilty or whether she goes to trial, once she's convicted, they still won't have access to whatever was in that investigation, because it's, even after she's convicted, it's still an active file, and they can't get that active file even if they do a Freedom of Information Act request. The only information they'll get is whatever the U.S. Attorney's Office puts out in a press release, and that's not going to show them anything that'll improve their processes. So if it's jacked up, just fucking fix it now. That would be my take. She gets convicted or she pleads guilty, they won't be able to request it because she still has appeal rights pending. So as long as she has appeal rights pending, they will never be able to get those files through a Freedom of Information Act request. Now, once all of her appeals rights are exhausted, she's done everything that she could, then they can do a request, and they still might not get it because the facts in that investigation may have investigative value with regard to another individual who they want to investigate and charge. And then they could assert another exemption that wouldn't allow them to get it through a Freedom of Information Act request. So they are actually assuming that when everything is over, they'll get it and be able to change their processes. And honestly, they would never be able to get it. If I was there, I could think of 50 ways, not 50, but at least six ways that they probably wouldn't even be able to get it, even if they did do a Freedom of Information Act request. Yeah, Tiff treats deflection like it's a sport. Just want to hit up some of these comments real quick. Henyard should take that path. If the IRS comes into an audit, she'll learn some great information. My disappointment would be that once Tiffany loses both elections, that all the investigations come to a halt. That is justice would not be served. So an early indictment would be warranted. Yeah, I just don't think. I got a video. actually recorded it, but I think I want to do it live. But essentially, it's going to be interesting to see who the new U.S. attorney is, because I know the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, the guy who prosecuted, who jumped out there with Diddy and all these other people, he resigned because once Trump is in office, they're all probably going to get let go anyway. It is what it is. So it's going to be interesting to see who the new U.S. attorney is and how he's going to prioritize public corruption. Most times, public corruption is like number one priority. I can just speak for offices I've been in Maryland and D.C. Public corruption is up here. If you public corruption, even if it's $700 as we $7,000 that we saw in Boston with that council member, public corruption, the feds take that shit seriously. Let's see. Shoot, I live in California. I know that is not true. That's fair. I don't know. I think that them not signing off on a report leads me to believe that any assertion that Tiffany Henyard is saying about a surplus is probably not true, and we have to give it the highest level of scrutiny. Not because she said it, even though I know that's what we're going to do. We're going to be like, nah, she said it is a lie. A lie is a lie is a lie. We generally assume, and I'm not saying it's not a fair assumption, anything that comes out of her mouth is cap. Hence the blue cap on the thumbnail that I put on her. But I think that this audit firm's failure to sign off on their audit report, in the language that they used, it wasn't that they didn't have the records, but to me it reads as they didn't have the records, but the records that they saw, they don't have enough basis to actually trust the validity of the records. And if that's the case, that's given that it is probably some BS. I don't know how much debt they could possibly be in, but it could be a ridiculous number. Like when everything is said and done, we saw the damage that was done from the village going to a surplus to a deficit. The township has a much larger budget because it's a much larger municipality, and oh man, that shit is just terrible. It's one thing for a city within the township to be on the verge of bankruptcy, but now the township itself could potentially be on the verge of bankruptcy, and I don't know, like, and that shit is going to take whatever damage is done. Trouble is easy to get into, but hard to get out of. So if she had a 4-year period of mismanagement of funds, you're probably talking realistically 8 to 12 years to be able to rectify it without doing large ass property tax increases and all sorts of shit that'll just make all of the constituents mad. It's just going to be a hard ass thing to overcome. So I don't know. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments on it. It's terrible. I don't think the 9 million surplus is there. I'd be shocked if it is there. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Yo, I'm about to get off here. I'm closing this one out early today. We went 48 minutes. I'm trying to think. I had something another video that I wanted to put out tomorrow, but I don't know. I might do it tomorrow because I don't got shit lined up anyway. So we might do it tomorrow. Let me go ahead. Yeah. She gave the auditors some of that mac and cheese. They can't. Hey, if they ate that macaroni and cheese, they can't complete the report, but they can't complete the report for other reasons. So that's all that is. Shout out to Cafe of Knowledge. Hey, y'all make sure y'all go check out. Hey, that's a great channel. It's a channel that I see stories on, and I was like, yo, that'll be dope for me to talk about. So I always give her a shout out. I always view and watch when I have the chance or opportunity. So y'all make sure to go check out Cafe of Knowledge. She is covering this and other stories that have real impact on what's going on in communities out there. And I always think that's the best content. And hey, shout out to Cafe of Knowledge. Let's give her a round of applause because the content is great. The commentary is amazing. I love a double round of applause I love commentary that is like real. I don't know if y'all remember. At one point, I tried to like put on the suit, and I was gonna go down in like my official office and be in front of a bookshelf and do all this structure stuff. And I was like, man, this shit suck. I was getting all hot, that tight ass tie on and that suit on, doing these videos. But shout out to the people who present things in a palatable way. I really appreciate that, and that's definitely a dope channel that that y'all got to check out. Yo, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Y'all have a good one. Y'all have a safe one. Be blessed. I'm definitely going to check y'all out. But hopefully, everybody holiday season is going well. And y'all, yo, real quick, everybody count their blessings that we still here. Like, yo, it's the end of another year. We all on the verge of turning the chapter to a new page of opportunity, a new page of hope. Whatever it is that you've been through this year, you still here, right now, in this moment, watching me tell you this message. So you're gonna get through that shit. You built different, you made to get through stuff. Things that we are thrown are things that we can handle. So y'all hang in there, keep doing good things, keep being positive. I support y'all. I love y'all. Y'all take care. Be blessed. Peace.